Thank you and welcome. My name is Marjo Mansen and I work here as a concept designer and also as a service designer. And this is Karri-Pekka Laakso. You want to tell what you do?
I guess I work as a user interface designer mostly, doing lots of other things as well.
Okay. And the project that we are going to present now is in-flight entertainment service for Finnair. And first, a little bit about the kind of the presentation, how we are going to walk it through. First, we tell something about the background, then about the actual project, then something about the new in-flight entertainment service, and then what next. And first, about the background. So the client is Finnair. And then there's also Panasonic, who is like manufacturing the hardware. And so basically two clients. And the project was done for old hardware. So the software is basically the only thing that is new. And the old system is quite complex, and it has like this multi-level navigation. And since it's for airplanes, it's closed environment, so there are a lot of challenges and also possibilities. Oops.
So there are about almost 10 million passengers per year, 42 aircrafts at Finnair, and not all of these carry this in-flight entertainment system, but pretty many do. And as you can notice, this is rather important because it involves a lot of people. This in-flight entertainment system is used on all flights that last over 7 hours that are intercontinental, meaning that they fly to China, to Japan, to USA, to places like that. In effect, it's used in planes where you are stuck for a huge amount of time and you're gonna get bored. So you really need this. So let's look at the original system in action. So I guess you can see some of the problems right there. So this is the system they had previously. It has this kind of navigation. You look for movies. They're divided into these systems. They have 8 movies per screen. All these back buttons. You can also click this by your finger, but it's not very sensitive. This is used. You can use also a remote control. And the problem with this, which becomes rather apparent rather soon, is that it takes a huge amount of time to understand what movies do they even have in this system, what kind of content do they have here, what kind of CDs, what kind of music. That's rather hard. It takes a huge amount of time. So this system needed improvement.
Okay, then about the scope. As usually in service design, we talk about customer journeys, and surely this in-flight entertainment system is not covering the whole journey. But as this was kind of the assignment and the agreed project, then we are covering basically that part of the customer journey. And as any part of the customer journey, user or customer experience is like vital, and Finnair has like a lot of good feedback, and then they, especially from this in-flight entertainment system, they got quite negative feedback from the old system, and then they thought that it's really time to do something about it.
And it's no wonder the system, which is rather problematic, it's the same thing in the business class as in the economy class, only it had in the business just a bigger screen. But it kind of wasn't really handy, it wasn't kind of up to the level where the rest of the Finnair stuff is. So you gotta fix it.
So what the team did, and also this came from Finnair, that they wanted to have the content first. So not like navigating through like different categories and diving into this navigation system. They wanted to show the content first. So aiming to minimize navigation and clicks and show the content like in the beginning almost. And also the aim was to create like a smooth user experience as possible, even though that it was done for the old hardware. Basically, in the offer we have this term called full solution. So we have here designers and developers and coaches and data scientists and like different disciplinary or people from different disciplinaries, and that's what we offered then, that we would like design it and also develop it and then also install it.
Yeah.
And then to the project. As I said, we have this multidisciplinary teams and people from different disciplines working in Reaktor, and also people with like multiple talents, if you can say it like that, or skills at least. So many times concept designer does also UI design and so on. So it doesn't mean that you have to have 6 persons necessarily in a team. But we would love them all to be in one project, so you could cover the whole thing. In this Finnair case, the team consisted basically from these disciplines. So there was 1 UX designer, 2 developers, 1 visual designer, and 1 project manager or coach.
It would have been fantastic to have a data scientist there as well, but there wasn't any time to kind of implement stuff, because it would be rather interesting to know what are the videos that people watch. And that is, and how do they pick those, how do they select them, how the user interface works. But that was something that we had to leave out this time.
So this is kind of really like rough timeline. Started in May 2013. And why this like pitching phase is here, we did a lot of work for the pitch also already. So there was like this initial user interface design done. And so it was done with a bit of risk, but not knowing how it's going to be developed actually, and is it possible even. But in the end, it was actually quite close to the initial kind of designs. And so, maybe going to the next slide, this is kind of how the workload was shared roughly. So there was Reaktor working in all those like phases: pitch, kickoff, design and development, and then also in installation. And then Finnair had some part in some phases, and then Panasonic obviously, because they're the hardware manufacturer.
Most of the development was done here, but as you can see from the January, it took quite a lot of time before they actually got it into implementation due to other project schedules. And this date is defined by the fact that is the place where they can schedule that the first plane, which is going to be down for maintenance, they are going to get the software upgrade for the new system.
Yeah. So as sort of like briefly already like mentioned, there were some challenges or also possibilities, if you want to put it like that. So the hardware, it wasn't available from the beginning.
Meaning that if you think of Finnair, they have planes, but they fly all the time. but they don't have the IFE displays kind of lying around there somewhere at the airport. Or they don't have the seats, because they're in the planes. And all the displays are in the planes. So the fact is that if you want to do anything with a display, you first have to get your hands on one. And the place where you get them is from Panasonic, California. So you have to go there, which the team did. And they brought back some displays. But then you have the display, but it needs power. It needs some kind of, because they got back to the display, they had to order the power from some place in Germany, and then they got the power and the display, and then you got kind of, well, this cable doesn't fit in the display, and so on. So there's a tremendous amount of problems because this is such a kind of environment where the stuff is rather melt into the seats. And by the way, the displays they aren't very modern hardware. And where are the specs that how they're going to work? If you have an iPad or if you have a laptop from 2014, it has more power than those displays because they are ancient. But how do you know what they can do? Well, there's one way you can know. You can start doing, and that's what the team did. Because you have to try out things and to find out that how actually accurate is the grid on the display, because it can be touched. Well, there's only one way to know it. You have to have the display working. You have to start punch it or click it with your finger, and then you of course notice that you can't do any drag events, for example. No swipes, no nothing like this. You can only click, and that is not very accurate as well. So this kind of restricts how you can do your design.
Yeah. And then, as said already, like this new model of working with Finnair, Panasonic, either of them have never done this like this before. So having like one company to provide the design and the development and installation. So basically, team went boldly where no man has gone before, basically. About the kind of the working, like we do here in Reaktor, many of the cases, and also in this, UX and development, they were working tightly together, and or seamlessly together, basically. So, and the UX had kind of the idea that the content first is the main key, and that's what we are going to follow, and then there were a lot of iterations on the way. So basically designing, developing, testing, designing, developing, testing, like, throughout the project.
So in order to do this, what, for example, you have to do is when the graphics designer makes a background for the system, puts it in, then you just can't kind of try it out with your laptop, because it isn't the same thing. You have to see it in the display. So what you have to have is some kind of a test lab so that the workflow would go as it went, like this. You first install the background, then you kind of put it into production. You go to the test lab, look at the screen. Okay, it looks bad because you can't use gradients in those displays because they don't have so many colors. So then you go back to your Photoshop, you add some noise to the background, put it again into the production, go to sit in the test lab, look what it looks like. Okay, it's better, but you have to fix these things, and then you go back. You have to do this. So, but there was no kind of test lab. So what did they do is, well, they went first to the planes.
Yeah, so the team had like two possibilities to visit the planes, and what happened in planes was, well, testing first like how it works. Most of us have flown these intercontinental flights, but like if you have to design something or develop something, then you have sort of like different viewpoint on the screens, and if you want to or have to think how to design and develop stuff there. So the team was like checking how it works, but also the ergonomics, like the distances, how far is the display, and how big do the kind of the areas that you click or press have to be. Also, from which angle you're looking at the display, and also like the effect of incoming sunlight from the windows. So after these 2 visits, we were building up the test lab, and this is building it basically, or some part of it. So building kind of these racks where to mount the displays in order to be able to test them and see how they work. And then here are some other pictures. This is again about the distances, and then also on the right hand side there's this kind of sunlight
simulator.
Yeah, from the screen, or for the screen, yeah.
And because there weren't any real seats available, you had to kind of simulate the stuff with a normal desk,
like office
chair,
seats, yeah.
office chair, and they had all these kind of it's kind of a sticky tape that is measured that it's this long, so you can adjust the seat to the right position depending on are you in business or are you in economy. So you can kind of measure that now you're actually looking at the display at the right angle, and then you just sit down and watch how it works.
Yeah. So at some point we had like several displays, and then after there was some like development done already, we did like user research and tests.
It was rather easy to find out because this is so typically used user interface to find out what are the situations that happen on the plane. So those were gathered. In addition, it was in some part easy to kind of test the designs because you can kind of just pick any one and now you're on the flight. The problem with the testing was, though, that what we would have wanted to do was that they would have wanted to put someone to sit in one chair for 7 hours just to kind of see how this is going to go, but that wasn't possible. So we had to cheat there a bit and just accept the fact that, well, if we just give the scenarios that, okay, now you've been watching the movie and now there's a kind of the tax-free sale is just starting and you want to browse the tax-free catalog, what's in it, what do they do, and then kind of, it's not the real situation, but it's kind of close enough.
Yeah, and there wasn't like also like possibility to go and fly.
Yeah.
Or sit in a plane, or our customer didn't see the value of it, basically. So here's some like more testing and clicking done. And
we tried that out in laptops or in iPads like there, but that's not the same thing.
Yeah.
It's not. It's much better technically, much better device, the iPad, than the display on the plane.
Yeah, and some part of the development had to be done also in California because there's no like these backup systems. We don't have them here, so that was the only way to fly there and do some like the rest of the development basically there. Anyway, then to the installation. It was done now this August, 7th of August, and here's a happy developer.
With the start screen of the IFE and all the displays, you're going to see it right just in a moment. So this is how it looks like when the system is up and running for the first time.
Yeah. So the installation was done in one night, basically. So one time, and it was done for one plane, and there was no beta versions or beta versions, basically. So it was like done once, and then just like crossing our fingers and hoping it will work.
Because you can't do a rollback there. The software is on the plane. Yeah. The planes are practically flying all the time, except when they're down for maintenance. When they're down for maintenance, that is the place where you can go and have the install, and then they're flying again. Yeah. So if it doesn't work, well, that's too bad.
Okay, well, they did the installation 7th of August, and then the first flight from Helsinki to Nagoya left next day. And here it flies. and luckily it worked. So success. And you want to say something about this?
Well, actually, I'm not going to say something. I'm going to show you what it looks like. You can try it, of course, if you're going to fly an intercontinental Finnair flight for the year. But as I already said, it looks like this. And now this is of course hard to simulate because again this display is a lot better than on the plane. But let's see what the content first approach bought here. Let me remind you that in the previous version there was, depending on how you do it, but almost 7 steps of navigation before you get the first film. Let's see how many here are. So you have to first to select language. It's 1. And here is a part of the content. And if you pick this movie, which is the one that they kind of promote or suggest, you click it, it starts. So that's 2 clicks. Actually, this is the start screen shows all the content. There are the promoted movies, some other movies, games, stuff. All of this is shown in this start screen. If you want to watch a movie, all the movies are here. And as you can see, pretty many of them fit on the screen. By the way, the team didn't even know that if this was technically feasible. At the time this was designed, but well, it kind of wasn't, but then it was optimized, so it worked. And if you want to see all the content, you just browse this. It's all over here. As you can see, there are 4 screens of this, then they end, and that was it. All the movies are here. Then there's if you want to watch a TV series, like, let's pick, well, any one of these, like this one. 2 parts. And you can just start playing it. And why can't I show you how this is done? Well, the problem is that this works only at the Panasonic test labs in California. So there was this was one reason why it was a bit difficult to test here in Finland, because you don't have the whole system here. All right. The same thing, the kind of content first approach goes for all the categories. So this is the music. There are all the albums here. You pick up one. By the way, you could have, of course, some kind of a text search here. But typing with that device is not going to happen, so there is no text search. If you want to pick some, you just pick it by the cover, and then you start playing it, like that song. Now, one thing that I already mentioned was that what if there's an interruption? I just put the kind of the stuff away. It's now playing on the background. So if there's an interruption, just kind of, you can click on that, it stops it, and then you can put it again into play from here. Same works for the movies as well. So if you have a movie and there's some kind of interruption, let's pick this one.
Some, like, I don't know, they're serving food or something, and you have to put your headphones down.
So you kind of close this and go back to the wherever you want to go. It's over there, and you just click on it, and it starts.
Yeah, from the kind of the point that you paused it, basically.
And everything is done with knowing that the display isn't too, or the touching isn't very accurate. Because, you know, if you want to jump into a place in the movie, there is the actual, at some point you can see if I put this fast forward in place, the fast forward is a much better way to going inside the movie than that you would try to click on a timeline, because the timeline simply isn't accurate enough. I think in the movies, this is a TV series, you can see the timeline somewhere. Yeah. No, sorry, can't find it. So that was actually the business class, but it's not that different in the economy class. It's a bit smaller, but it's practically the same thing. You can see the stuff over here. There are a bit less movies.
And that's because of the size of the screen.
And there are no kind of other categories in the movies like movies, TV series, and then the kids. And that's one feature that if you have a kid and you want to display the kids' content for the kids only, that's the one kind of feature that they have here. There's kids content only, you put that on, and then you go here, it has only the kids movies. All the music is kids approved and all the games are kids approved. So it actually affects mostly the movies. And if your kid is smart enough to go to the settings and click this off, then they're smart enough to do other things as well.
Should we?
Yep.
Okay, so well, you have to just fly and try basically to see how it works, like actually. Anyway, we got like good feedback also from Finnair. So this is quote from Jouni Oksanen, the vice president of e-commerce of Finnair, saying that the new design brought this Finnair's in-flight entertainment system or user experience to the 21st century, kicking and screaming. And it was, of course, nice to have like happy customers and happy clients. So, what next? You want to say something about it?
Well, we have... Time's almost up.
Yeah.
We have other projects going on in the flight industry which cover the same stuff like the in-flight entertainment, but also other things which were kind of out of scope right now.
Yeah, this was the scope now, and the next scope will be something like this, more or less. Right.
Yep, but we can talk about this next time. We can't talk about it yet.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.